This past weekend, the world of Canadian hip-hop lost a really respected artist. For more than 20 years, Bishop Brigante built a reputation for being a fierce battle rapper and artist. Bishop died at just 46 years old. The group chat's in. They'll pay their respects to a major force in Canadian hip-hop. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Look, I think it makes sense for us to just start with Bishop, so let's start here.
Picture the scenery, a young buck running the streets, gun tucked in attitude like who wanted with me? Who dabbles in crack? Quick to put you flat in your back. Look around, he's just a product of his own habitat. Picture a young...
That's Hard Times from Bishop Brigante. Bishop died on Sunday after being diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2023. He was just 46 years old. And what you keep seeing is all these beautiful, heartfelt online tributes to Bishop, from the likes of Maestro Fresh West and Royce the 5'9", and the producer of our very own theme song of the show, Rich Kid. And you also see so many of his fans and peers in the battle rap community paying tribute. Juno-award winning artist Choclair knew Bishop Brigante well. Choclair is here, and so is Big Tweeze, a Toronto rap aficionado and host of the podcast Views Before the Six. Choclair, Tweeze, welcome to Commotion, y'all. How's it going?
How's it going, man? How's it going?
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm glad that you're here. Listen, first of all, my condolences to both of you on passing your friend. Bishop, actually, Choclair, maybe I'll start with you. You and Bishop go ways back. You're both from Scarborough. He was featured on a few songs from your second album. Tell me about the first time that he came on your radar.
I believe it was Manifesto, but I'm not 100% sure if that was the event.
Manifesto Festival here in Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember we were in a tent and DJ X introduced us, and he just kind of came in like Scrappy-Doo to Scooby-Doo. He came in, he started rapping and doing all this stuff and whatever, and then we became cool, and then I brought him on the road, and I remember him telling me like, I've never left Scarborough till you took me on the road. I'm like, okay, maybe Ontario, maybe Canada, but Scarborough? He's like, no, man. And then we created this great bond, and and then we went and traveled and toured and wrote music and did so much stuff together. It's been like, I think almost 30 years that we, long time.
Before the travel and the tour and everything else, Bishop Brigante first got Toronto's attention as a teen, battling other rappers on the legendary Power Move show on CKLN 88.1 FM. But it was this next song that got him buzzing beyond his hometown.
Take the train, eastbound from Kipling with this chicken with things to bun. She talk too much, drop the rod for Islington. I'm royal like York, import rhymes to make a good old meal. Platinum status with no deal. I seen Jane on the train, she has to find Bunny. That's her honey, please. We both jumped off at Runnymede, getting in the park. I run that set, she keeled over. Took her back to Dundas West, her man frowns.
That is a bit of Kipling to Kennedy from the late Canadian rapper Bishop Brigante. It's off the compilation Rap Essentials 2001. That song was an ode to the train stops along Line 2 of Toronto subway line. Tweeze, tell me about this track. What did you think when you first heard it?
I mean, listen, as Choclair had mentioned, DJ X in the past, he produced that song and who was the host of the Power Move show. And Bishop had told me this great story one time that as he was going to DJ X's house, he didn't have rhymes written for anything, and that's how he came up with Kipling to Kennedy, man. So it's just a testament to what a quick-minded guy he really was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's great. I love the song, by the way, man. It's so Toronto. Like, you can't help but love it, right?
I'm enjoying Choclair sort of just kind of smiling and nodding as you sort of talk about Bishop's style there. Maybe, Choclair, you can talk about this a little bit as an MC yourself. What would you say it was about Bishop's rap style that sort of set him apart from other rappers coming out of Canada at the same time?
Because he was just authentic to who he was, you know? Like, you know, he rapped how he rapped. He respected the rap culture and the talent. Of doing it, and then exactly with Kipling to Kennedy, that was like, I think then that song came out after it was on Beat Factory, and me and my manager at the time, we were like, yeah, we're going to put that record out now by itself. So we put that record out. And the best part about everything is just him as a person. He always helped, because we would be in studios and stuff and on the road and everything like that, always helped make me better as a person, but also made music better, because it'd be like, I don't know about that line, Shocks. Maybe you need to change that line or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we would go in studio and just do stuff. Like, people don't even realize some of the times where he was in studio with me and I was writing music and we would work it out. So it's his authenticity and his friendship, his brotherliness towards me. Just overall, just great. Just a great person.
There's so many of the tributes talk about the kind of person that he was, but also the incredible amount of skill that he had. And that all tracks because then Bishop becomes the first Canadian rapper to battle on BET's incredibly popular show 106 in Park. He was key to the rise of the Canadian battle rap league, King of the Dot. Speaking of which, I want you guys to hear this. Here he is in 2015 battling fellow battle rapper Arsenal.
I worked this turf before the birth of this franchise. Before your mama lifted that skirt and put that thirst in your dad's eyes. I would have murked every last one of you nerds by a landslide. Hey, battle rap, Bishop's back, but I ain't come here to baptize. Arsenal, bar for bar against me, and that's all she wrote. I've seen the best of you turn vegetable. Now I step to your artichoke. I'm Lowry.
The late Bishop Brigante at a King of the Dot event back in 2015. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. And you are listening to our tribute of the Toronto rapper Bishop Brigante. He died this past Sunday of colorectal cancer. Choclair and Big Tweeze are here looking back on his legacy and his career. Tweeze, let me ask you about this. Another pretty memorable moment is his affiliation with Drake and a crew that they were both a part of called the Wise Guys.
Yes.
Talk about the Wise Guys. What made the Wise Guys so significant?
I mean, the Wise Guys is kind of significant in, well, not only just for Bishop, but for Drake as well, because I believe that's the first time that Drake ever battled someone. There was a whole crew of them. It was JD Era, Ken Masters, Young Tony, who we now refer to as OVO Hush. I'm missing somebody, but Bishop and Drake, right? And that was the first time that we ever heard Drake battle rap anybody with a song. It's called Good Riddance. I believe you could still find it online. Our
producer Ty just said it's Johnny Rocks. That's the name.
Johnny Rocks. Okay,
that's the name. That's the name that you're missing.
Okay.
Is it true that Drake lost a watch to Bishop once? Do you want to tell the story?
That is very true, matter of factly, man. And I believe that that's still on YouTube as well. As you know, Bishop was often referred to as the gambling man. Yeah. Right. And so I believe they were shooting dice. Yeah. And it came down to a watch, and that watch became Bishop's, man, right? You know what I mean? So
he dispossessed Drake of that watch, if you will.
There it is, man.
There's so much more we could dig into in Bishop's life, but we also got to talk about the last few years of his life when he got that diagnosis. So 2023, he revealed that he had stage 4 colon cancer. That diagnosis ends up inspiring him to start a petition advocating for lowering the age to get screening. The current age in this country is 50 here in Canada. Here's Bishop on the CBC's White Coat, Black Heart 2 years ago.
I have this crazy metaphor about why early detection is so important. Imagine putting yourself in a boxing ring, getting put into a pro fight, but you're handcuffed and you're blindfolded, and the boxer's just beating the crap out of you for 1 round, for 2 rounds, for 3 rounds, for 4 rounds, and then all of a sudden you take off your blindfolds, you take off your gloves, you take off your handcuffs. Now you're in the fight. That's stage 4 to me. Somebody beat me up while I was handicapped, I didn't know what was going on. A referee allowed it to happen. Who's the referee? But now my blindfold's off and my handcuffs are off, and I'm in the 4th round. So I just gotta figure out what's going on, adjust, and then get to ass whooping.
Choclair, we should say that the bishop sort of put together a petition. You got tens of thousands of signatures on that petition to get the screening age lowered. It's still 50 in this country. Do you want to talk a little bit about what goes through your mind when you hear that clip?
Well, Bishop was always he's a fighter. And he always was. I remember when he called me, I think it was late September or October of 2023. And he told me, and I was like, what? And over the past 2 years, just watching him fight, and the last time that I was able to see him was his show at the Rec Room in Toronto. And that was the last time that we performed together. And some people might see some footages, when me and Bishop would do shows together and stuff like that. Like me and him connected the same way that we connected on stage, and then we were the same in person. So, you know, it's just hard to hear, but it's reality at times. And you know, I know that he, for his family and for himself, he fought, and a lot of us stood behind him and helped. And it just sucks. You get sad and angry. You're sad that he passed, and you're angry that cancer took him. So it's a weird emotional feeling, you know?
Choclair, I hear the emotion in your voice, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tweeze, you were telling me about being at the same show.
I was at that Rec Room show, man. And it was great. It was great to see him perform, like not only with his friends but his son. Like that was amazing to see him perform with Lito, right? Like, you know what I mean? So that was a great moment, man. Like I'm glad that I got to witness that, man. Tell me what
goes through your mind when you hear that clip of him talking about that.
I mean, listen, I'm 46 myself, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Bishop was 46. Like I was talking to Ty earlier. I was at the doctor's yesterday, and we had this very same conversation, and he agrees, man. Like, you know, you kind of 50 it's late in the game, right? You know what I mean? So if we can prevent this happening, it would be great if something could change in that regard.
Yeah,
right?
46 is just so young, man. He's just so young. Choclair, before we go, what's something that you really cherish about Bishop's legacy that you'd like to share?
Just his trueness to me. He was always true. Always about everything, and always had, like I get messages from people, always had my best interests. He was a great friend. He was my brother.
Thanks for sharing that, man. Tweeze, last word to you, brother.
I mean, listen, man, like his legacy, hopefully, you know, in terms of the what he's done for the scene, especially the battle scene in Canada, like that can never be forgotten, you know. Hopefully his legacy will be remembered for changing the age, man. Like I hope that really does happen, man.
I'm conscious of the fact that I'm speaking with both of you just a couple days after losing someone who's very dear to both of you. So I just want to say thank you for coming on the show to share his story. Thank you for being so open about it. So thank you so much for both of you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. Thank you for taking
Rest
the time.
in peace, Bishop.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. So grateful for both of you to take the time to reflect on Bishop's legacy with us. Choclair is a Juno-award winning artist who spoke to me from London, Ontario. Big Tweeze is a producer and host of the Toronto-centric hip-hop podcast Views B4 the 6. He was with me right here in studio. Bishop Brigante died this past Sunday of colorectal cancer. He was 46 years old. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Look, the past few days, my social media feeds, and I suspect yours as well, have been filled with pictures that look like they're straight out of Studio Ghibli, like a Studio Ghibli movie. That's because last week, ChatGPT rolled out an update to its image generator, and honestly, it is... I think I would use the word strikingly effective, and maybe in a slightly distressing way, but we'll get to that in just a moment. It was a feature initially available only for people who use the paid version of ChatGPT, but on Monday, OpenAI said, you know what, we're going to make this update available for free users as well. Steven Zeitchik is here to get into the story. He's a senior editor of technology and politics at The Hollywood Reporter. Steven, hello. How's it going?
It's going well, Elamin. Thanks for having me on.
First of all, Steven, I got to say, it's a hell of a time to be an editor of technology and politics and the collision of both of those things. Because, sure, in a regular moment, they do meet. But in this particular moment, it's quite heightened. Tell me about the images for ChatGPT. What can this image generator do? I think let's just set the stage there.
Yeah. No, it's a really good question. And I think a lot of users have been surprised to see how effective this can be. Essentially, what this new tool that OpenAI just launched last week can do is take pretty much any image you feed it, or really take any text prompt you give it, and just turn it into whatever you want it to look like. And you know, we're all very familiar with all the sort of bugs in the AI system, and you know, people with too many fingers or faces that get distorted. And this is kind of, you know, for better or worse, that's kind of been our experience to date. And this kind of works out a lot of those sort of bugs and really makes it so that the image looks like what we want it to look like. And that's, everything from super, high-end, high-tech, kind of slick sci-fi images to something very hand-drawn and bespoke. And folks are proving that by their usage.
The image generator can actually be used to copy a bunch of different styles of animation, but overwhelmingly the ones that has kind of taken off on social media has been people trying to make Studio Ghibli images out of this. Why do you think it was Studio Ghibli style images that really took off for ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's a really good question and something I and others in this space have been thinking about. Look, I think a couple of things are at work here. The first is just obviously whenever something takes off online, it really takes off online. And there's a kind of compounding effect. Your buddies do it, someone else on your feed does it, a celebrity does it. But I think the more specific sort of kind of cultural reason, if you will, that this has taken off is that these Ghibli images, these Miyazaki images are really, really hard to produce. I mean, they're for good reason. I mean, they're hand drawn over many, many years with often many animators helping Miyazaki. Miyazaki himself is an incredible, artist, and many of your fans will know his work as such. And so I think the idea that you could take something that is really almost impossible to fathom even how someone else does it, and with a few keystrokes or a few voice commands, do it yourself. I think that just proved a little too tempting for a lot of consumers to resist.
I'm glad you mentioned Miyazaki. So Hayao Miyazaki is, of course, the core engine of Studio Ghibli. And his last movie, The Boy and the Heron, took 7 years to complete. Took 60 animators 7 years to complete. And that's because that style of animation that you're talking about is like an incredibly painstaking style of animation to just create. And what it does end up creating is a sort of a version of surrealism. Like everything looks just a little bit surrealist in a really beautiful way. And now people can just kind of like whip up similar style images on ChatGPT, like you said, with just typing it up, just like my mother, but made like Studio Ghibli. And like, you just are able to produce something that looks like that. How surprised are you that ChatGPT was able to get to this level this quickly?
Yeah, look, I think technologically it's pretty undeniable that this is a cool feat. I mean, the funny thing about AI is on the one hand, we expect it to do everything right away. And how come it can't just, pop up a movie or, order a pizza tomorrow night for me, knowing exactly what toppings I want. But then on the other hand, when you actually look at the progress and how far we've come, I mean, it's only a little over 2 years that ChatGPT launched. And, these models keep getting better. And this new model that this image generator is part of, this 4.0 that OpenAI created. I mean, the notion that somehow just I can think something in my head essentially, or just type it out, and it could kind of replicate, as you said, some family vacation photo or some Christmas office party photo into one of the great, basically filter it through one of the greatest living artists of our time is kind of remarkable when you stop and think about it.
I should say that I think there have been many people who are maybe reluctant or not sure whether they want to engage with ChatGPT, and then this, image update comes out, and I feel like something shifts because ChatGPT ended up crashing a bunch of times because of this image generator, and then the OpenAI CEO Sam Altman tweeted that just on Monday, it should be on Monday, that ChatGPT added 1 million users in an hour. What do you make of that? What do you make of the rush of people to say, this is the thing that's going to get me on board? I want to go find out what is going on with ChatGPT.
Yeah. No, I think it's, look, there's something very real in this phenomenon. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a caveat to kind of his promotional tweet there, because I think it took, when ChatGPT launched in November of 22, if we can all put ourselves back in that distant moment, it was ancient times. It was not something a lot of us were familiar with, and we didn't really sort of think about, there'd been some image generation before, there'd been some tech stuff, there was GPT-2, and then kind of 3 was sort of coming on, but there was really not a lot of kind of consumer currency to the idea that you can just kind of come out and talk to a machine or have it rewrite something in the lyrics of Taylor Swift or what have you. And then it started to do that. And so I think it took a little bit of time to grind, kind of for the machine to grind into motion. I think now we're kind of used to it now. A lot of us do use these LLMs, these large language models for text, for images. And so, when this came out last week, I think a lot of people were just kind of like, okay, yeah, we know that that these images can kind of come from nowhere, but suddenly we can do something this good this quickly, and everyone who was an adopter and probably some people who weren't, as Altman's tweet suggested, kind of gravitated towards it.
I got to tell you what this feels like. Is it feels like copyright infringement, and I'm not. Listen, I'm not a copyright lawyer, but I look like this and go, how is it possible that this is not, copyright infringement? Where does this kind of, AI image generation, where does that stand legally?
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think a lot of us sort of have that instinct of we're not lawyers, but we kind of look at it and say we know it when we see it. We know
Yeah.
it when we
I'm
see
like, I
it.
know that's
Like,
a Studio Ghibli style, so I don't understand how is this even legal,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And if we think about our own work, anyone who's creative or whatever we do in life, it's like we'd like to think that whatever we do doesn't get just reproduced at a mass scale
Yeah.
because someone decided that this would be cool. So I think that's absolutely right. I think from a legal perspective, though, there's really a lot of unanswered questions because we're in kind of uncharted territory. There's a big lawsuit which some viewers may know of that is happening right now between the New York Times and OpenAI. They're suing the tech company and saying, look, you're taking all our articles, just reproducing it. Yes, you're kind of synthesizing it or picking and choosing, but like clearly your tool would not work if it did not ingest massive amounts, decades and decades of reporting and writing and photos that we've done. And, that's infringement, and we should be either compensated for it or you should be prohibited from doing it. Just recently, there was a ruling in the case. The judge kind of allowed it to move forward on those infringement grounds. He kind of threw out some other parts of the case, but for the essential part of the case is moving forward. So I think we're really, kind of in the early days of figuring out what's going to happen legally. The one thing I will kind of caution people is the notion that this is going to stop, at least in my view. The notion this is going to stop because let's say the New York Times triumphs. The toothpaste is not being put back in the tube here. If there is some infringement deemed and models have to license material, and Altman's been very upfront saying we can't go on if we can't use a lot of this copyrighted material, they'll just make deals. And we've already seen that with a few other companies, media companies, entertainment companies that have made deals. So, I don't think it's going to slow down. Maybe it'll slow down the drain a tiny bit. It's not going to stop it. But depending on what happens with this lawsuit, we might see a little bit more compensation. We might see a little more collaboration between the content companies and the tech companies, but this thing isn't stopping, not in my view.
I'll tell you, Steven, I described it earlier as distressing, and I was specifically referring to one image that was used by the image generator, which is like this image that was posted by the official White House account, and it was like this photo of a woman in tears being arrested by federal immigration agents. And it sort of felt to me like out of all uses of an AI image generator, the notion that a Studio Ghibli style animation would end up in this kind of depiction just felt so at odds for me, like with what Studio Ghibli's kind of like even meant to do. Like this is like a studio that celebrates humanity in a bunch of different ways. And so I think that image was like really jarring for a lot of people to see. What do you make of the way that image was received? Because I feel like that ended up being one of the major flashpoints here.
I think it was, and I think that image disturbed me and a lot of people as well who've been following this space. I mean, look, one of the sort of unfortunate realities, it's fortunate if it's used in cool ways, but one of the unfortunate realities of unleashing this tech in such a broad way is that people can use it for whatever they like. And yeah, as much as it was maybe a little bit weird or ironic or annoying to see, again, family holiday photos getting kind of turned into this, great artistic style. It was especially upsetting and distressing to a lot of us to see it being used for something that was that's so politically and morally problematic. And so I think, across the board, you see these usages that are very upsetting. And let's not forget, Miyazaki himself has said, decried AI back in 2016. He said it was basically an insult to life itself. And so, not that, the artist obviously doesn't always have the final word here, but for those of us who are big fans of Miyazaki and fans of this style, he really saw the value in creating something very handmade and really very unique. And the kind of mass production of this, whether it's technically legal or not, I think upset him. And so, it's that image along, frankly, with a number of others were quite upsetting.
Steven, I got to leave it there, but I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Of course, we'll keep following the story. Steven Zeitchik is a senior editor for technology and politics at The Hollywood Reporter. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then.